Welcome to another episode of Mavens of Manufacturing, the video broadcast series that features the powerful women from the shop floor to the C-suite who are changing the world through engineering and manufacturing. Today, I'm really excited to have Emma Betters. She is the R&D assistant on staff of the Oak Ridge National Laboratory. Hi, Emma. How are you?
Hi, Megan. I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming and joining me on Friday afternoon. I'm really excited because I've spoken with a lot of individuals who are involved in manufacturing and engineering, and they do more of the hands-on stuff as a product is being designed or developed. And I haven't had anyone really on the research side of things. So I'm really excited to hear your story and how you've gotten involved. So to start off, I want to talk a little bit about ACE, or America's Cutting Edge. So for anyone listening, and correct me if I'm wrong on all of this stuff, because this is stuff that I researched a while ago, but I want to make sure that I'm getting the information correct. It's a national initiative to restore the dominance of the U.S. machine tool sector through advances in training and technology. Part of the ACE effort is a new IACMI program that uses virtual training and machining simulation to teach essential manufacturing skills. Is that correct? Pretty much.
Absolutely.
For that. So for those of you tuning in too, ACE is also funded or supported by the U.S. Department of Defense Industrial Base Analysis and Sustainment Program. I had to write all of that down because it's a really long title, from the Office of Industrial Policy. So how did you get involved in this journey? Because that's some pretty big names in the manufacturing and engineering sector. Everybody knows Oak Ridge. If you don't know, you should know, because they do a lot with manufacturing. So how did you get involved?
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, I am an R&D assistant staff member at Oak Ridge National Laboratory. I'm actually currently also getting my PhD at the University of Tennessee. My advisor is Dr. Tony Schmitz, so he has a joint appointment between Oak Ridge and the University of Tennessee. So he started putting together this online ACE program. I am one of his PhD students, and I had some previous experience teaching manufacturing and design lab during my undergraduate career, and he knew I really enjoyed that teaching experience as well as manufacturing, so pulled me in on that.
So when you were, trying to figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life, what were sort of some of the classes and stuff that you took in high school? Like, did you know engineering and manufacturing was an area that you wanted to go into, or was this something that you sort of figured out later on as you started college?
I didn't. Until I was in about 11th grade, I actually wanted to be an attorney. I started taking physics classes in high school and really fell in love with it. My high school physics teacher suggested mechanical engineering. I didn't think about manufacturing until I was in college. All students at the University of Florida are required to take a design and manufacturing laboratory class there. And my professor was incredibly passionate about manufacturing and kind of shared that with me. And this is where I wound up, something that I loved and something that I wanted to continue doing for the rest of my career.
That's awesome. And then you met Tony, and he's doing all of this stuff. And for those of you that don't know, I sort of have like a distant connection with Tony. I worked with a marketing agency called Making Chips. They have a really great manufacturing podcast for the industrial machining side of things. And one of their writers was his wife. So I knew Tony through his wife a long time ago. And she was actually the one that reached out to me to talk to you. So I'm excited that bridges were connected. And so that's how I know him. But with some of the things that he is doing, do you want to explain sort of what the process is like? Like, what does a day in the life as a research engineer look like for you?
Yeah, so one of the things I really like about research is that every day is completely different. Some days I get to do simulation work, some days I'm doing design work, and my best days are spent on the shop floor, so some days I get to make parts. So it's really a wide variety of things. A lot of the research that we focus on is more on the process side, so how to improve processes, whether that's taking additively manufactured preforms and looking at how to make parts more effectively and more efficiently, or just making the machining process itself more efficient. So how to choose stable machining parameters the first time around before a tool ever touches a workpiece. Really focus more on that process side.
Okay, and we have Angela saying hi, Meaghan. Hi, Angela. Thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And for anyone tuning in, if you have questions, feel free to drop them off in the comments section. We'll answer them as soon as there's a pause. Sometimes I don't like interrupting people as they're talking, but I do want to pull up some of the slides that you shared with me before we got together, and I want to hear more about what this training program's mission is. So as you can see, the slide says next generation training and education to advance U.S. machine tool workforce. So what does that involve? What sort of processes are you focusing on in terms of machine tool workforce? Because there's a lot of parts with machining, and I'm just interested to know more about what this training program is offering those who sign up for it.
Yeah, so this training is focused specifically on CNC milling. So everything from types of tools through machining dynamics, but specifically focused on milling processes. So the Department of Defense is really concerned about the decline in our workforce, which is kind of the impetus for this project, and kind of designing this training.
Okay. So in terms of what you're doing, how does that connect to manufacturers who are really trying to bring in the next generation workforce? Like, what is it doing to either improve their processes or kind of rethink some of the things that they're doing within their own shop floors?
Yeah, so what we're really focused on here is getting more people excited and engaged in manufacturing, kind of giving them an initial step into machining. So for a lot of these people, they've never seen a shop floor. So focusing on the whole range of everyone from high school students to people that have been working on a shop floor for several decades. I think one of the main focuses here that we're focusing on that a lot of other trainings don't is that inclusion of machining dynamics. So this is
Okay.
something that Dr. Schmitz has made an entire career of for the last several decades. Most people focus on machining as a geometry-based only process. I have a round tool, I'm trying to make some square widget, but it's more than that. So you do have dynamic considerations in your machine tool, and taking advantage of those can improve the efficiency of your process.
Yeah, and it's great to know too how everything actually works together, because that gets into the whole like predictive machine maintenance and stuff too. And if you can pick up on signs when things are starting to fail, I know Dr. Smith gets really into the nitty gritty of like vibration and all of those other things going on within the machine. So I know he wrote a book about it too, which I haven't had a chance to read or get a hold of, but I'm sure there's a lot of like more detailed information in there than a lot of us know about or remember about. So for the actual program, are there like certain guidelines or standards for people who want to sign up for this course? Like, who is this course for? Is it for people who are already in manufacturing? Is it for students? What is the audience target for this type of course?
Yeah, so this course was designed really for anyone. We did not want this to be exclusionary at all. So like I said, anyone from high school students all the way through people on the shop floor. From a high schooler perspective, we started from the ground up. We discussed everything from what a cutting tool is, through making chips, through making parts. So we really stepped through this piece by piece. But that inclusion of that dynamics portion that a lot of people aren't exposed to is also helpful to people that have been working on shop floors for some period of time. So I think that really captures a really wide audience here.
And then how long is the course for? So what can people who sign up for the course expect? Is it a hybrid model? Is it in person? Like how does that whole course layout look like and feel for the students?
Yeah. So it's separated into two different components. So we have an online component that Dr. Schmidt's put together. There's a few different lectures to go through. That's about 6 hours. Runs through computer-aided manufacturing. There's a CAM Plus app, so students can kind of get a sense of machining performance, so stable versus unstable cutting conditions, tool wear, tool cost. And then the in-person component, we did smaller boot camps in the Knoxville region. So we ran some at the University of Tennessee, some at Oak Ridge National Laboratory, and some at Pellissippi State Community College. We had about 10 students at a time. We ran in-person sessions, so a little bit of lecture in the morning, some on-machine time, some CAM time. So students got a taste of each part of that.
Okay. With the map that I showed, there's a bunch of locations on here. So are these the locations that this program is available at? And I guess what my next question is, with that hybrid model and you need that in-person experience, are you partnering with other companies as well too to kind of provide sort of an apprenticeship type program where they can come in and do the in-person there, or do they have to do it at an educational institution?
So right now, the locations that are shown on that map are places where people have signed up to take the online portion.
Okay.
The in-person session, as of 2021, was only being offered in the Knoxville area. We are looking at partnering with different people across the country and kind of rolling this out. So if anybody's listening and wants to run an in-person session somewhere else, feel free to reach out. We are looking for other partners, and kind of making that more available across the country to more people.
Have you partnered with any high schools in the local Knoxville area to maybe do some of that in-person stuff and get part of their VOTech programs lined up with your program?
We have had a couple of high school specific trainings. So those were run at Pellissippi last summer. I believe we are doing another high school specific training again this summer. So we are trying to pull in more high school students. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I wanted to share some of the photos that you shared with me too. Do you want to kind of walk through what's going on in each of these photos and explain like who some of the people are and some of the things that you're doing right now to help improve the program or gather more information from people who've already taken the course?
Yeah. So this is me standing in front of a milling machine. This picture is actually kind of interesting. So by the time we get to our last day of training, as you can see, our students are very comfortable running the machines kind of on their own, and moving through the process, which is really cool from an instructor perspective, that over the course of a week, they're running parts on their own. Explaining, I'm sorry.
There's you teaching more and doing more instructor things.
Yes, more instructor things. I believe we were talking about some tool offsets there. We've had a couple of visits from our different local government officials.
Okay. So at your facility that you're running this program through, do you also offer like high school tours or tours to the local community so that you can explain more how your program is connecting to what you're trying to do with local manufacturers and in developing that next generation workforce?
Yeah. So in a normal year, when COVID wasn't a problem, as you can see in this photo, most of us still have masks on. The manufacturing demonstration facility has several thousand people that come through, that get to walk through our high bay and see different manufacturing processes going on. The photo that you're looking at right here is actually in the Machine Tool Research Center at the University of Tennessee. So this is Dr. Schmitz's lab at UT. We do tours all of the time for high school students that are coming in, for other industry partners as well. So tours, demonstrations of the different research that we're doing. So we really are trying to get the community engaged in manufacturing.
These are just some more pictures that I'm going through. You have a really nice facility from what these pictures are showing, so that's good to see.
We're very proud of it.
So then what specifically, I know you mentioned a little bit about some of the things that you're doing, but what specifically is like some of your major highlights that you have about the program and what's coming up next?
Yeah, I think some of our major highlights from 2021 was that national spread that you showed. We have 49 out of 50 states are engaged. So if you're in that last remaining state and you're listening, sign up for the program. We did have about 13% in-person participation last year. That number to me is okay. I think I'd like to see a little bit of improvement on that for this next summer. And we do have more boot camps planned for this summer. So I'll be interested to see that grow. But I
Okay.
think one of the really cool things about this, if you look at participant occupations, is that 56 out of 67 of those participants are not already engaged in a field that is considered engineering or are machinists, which to me implies that we really are having more outreach and engaging more people in the manufacturing sector that weren't already.
Mhm.
And that's kind of the goal of this, right? So I think that means we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Well, another thing is too is you have quite a bit of uh, a female presence too. Like there's a lot of women that have signed up for this program and completed it. And I'm curious as how you are marketing this. I know I learned about it through Christine reaching out to me and providing me a little bit of information on it. But I wouldn't have known about it if she never reached out to me. So what are some of the things you're doing to bring it to not just your local communities, but outside of your community outreach? Are you sending out press releases? How are you marketing this?
I think right now, a lot of the marketing there have been some press releases. A lot of the marketing has been through LinkedIn. So kind of trying to reach out through our different pipelines that way. Dr. Schmitz has a fairly large LinkedIn following. So that's kind of gotten us a little bit more spread out. And kind of continuing through word of mouth that way, trying to reach out to different colleges and getting them engaged and getting their students engaged as well.
Another interesting thing for me is that you are offering this type of program at no cost. So what was that? Why was that type of decision made? Because generally, if you want to get some, because after people complete your program, they do get a certification, right? What sort of things do they gain from your course? Do they get connections to potential employers? Uh, the certification is one. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so the main things that they're getting upon completion of the program, they do get a certificate of completion. Sorry, they do get zero point 0.6 continuing education units through Pellissippi State Community College, who's tied in with this as well. They get a copy of that machining dynamics textbook of Dr. Schmitz's that you mentioned
That's the book.
previously. Yep. um, and they're one of the big things is that they're connecting with other people that are there at the same time for
Mhm.
that in-person training. So I think that connection is really important as they continue back out into their respective workforces. You asked why this was offered at no cost. Like I said before, the Department of Defense is really concerned about workforce shortage, specifically in manufacturing, those critical supply chains that we've
Mhm.
all seen throughout the last couple of years of COVID and kind of U.S. capacity for that. So the big intent here was to break down as many barriers as possible and get as many people engaged and empowered and excited about manufacturing that we could, like not be exclusionary, which I think a lot of programs kind of wind up being.
Yeah, I think that is such a great way to attract people to take the course too. Because if there's someone like me who actually went to college and grad school, and I'm sure you can relate to this too, the student debt is not cheap. Like it's an expensive cost. So I think that is a really good way to get people excited about learning something new, especially in milling. It's used everywhere. A lot of people take for granted the amount of items that we have that are manufactured and require some of these processes. In terms of other areas of machining, is there a goal or a strategy to maybe add on to this course or make a different program for something else that focuses on something different in CNC machining? Well, what's the future strategy looking like?
Yeah, so right now there are two other courses being offered as well, both online. I think there's some discussion about moving to an in-person curriculum for some of those as well. There has been a metrology course that is offered online. I think that one's about 4 hours, so how we measure things. And then there's a new one that's just been launched on additive manufacturing as well.
That
So if
is,
you're interested in any of those things, also offered for free.
I really like the fact too that the Department of Defense is stepping up to help fund programs like these. I did an event back in October, and I actually had Jesse Salazar come on. He's from the Department of Defense, and his presentation was great. He got a lot of kids excited. A lot of them were asking, like, how the heck do I get a job at the Pentagon, and how do I get more involved with engineering manufacturing? So I'm really liking the initiative that I'm seeing more and more of from our leadership, because it is important, and offering something like this at no cost, I think, is really going to attract another group that might have thought these opportunities weren't available to them because of the cost of them. So this is really exciting for me. I'm really excited that you came on today to discuss this program a little bit more. Before I let you go, I do want to ask, because, you know, you are in the research and development of things, and sometimes, there's asks that we need to help make the program successful. So if you had one ask for our audience today, what would your biggest ask be in terms of helping with this type of program?
Yeah, I would venture to say most of the people that are probably listening to this are engaged in manufacturing in some way, shape, or form already. And I'd say that my biggest ask would be that you share that passion with other people. I wouldn't have thought of manufacturing as a career if someone hadn't shared that with me. And I think that's kind of the best way to get other people engaged in this field.
And if people want to work with you or learn more about the program, or maybe even uh, plan to come and tour your facility, where should they go or who should they contact?
Yeah, so you can reach out to me by email. My email is B as in boy, ETTERSED @ornl.gov. Or you can search ACE, UTK Machine Tool Research Center. That'll take you to the sign up page for the program. But feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
And is there anything else that we might have missed that you were itching to talk about, or anything else to add to the conversation?
I don't think so.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Emma. I really appreciate it. For anyone who's listening in, please reach out to her or visit their website. Tony Schmitz, he does a lot of work in the CNC machining industry. He is very passionate about what he does. He has a ton of articles out there. So if you don't know who he is, or if you haven't heard of him, make sure you Google Dr. Tony Schmitz. He's brilliant, in my opinion. I've read some of his articles that he's already had, and it would help your process or your CNC machining for sure. So make sure to check that out. Emma, thank you again for joining me today. I really appreciate our time. If there's anything else that I can do to help you promote this wonderful program, just let me know. I'd be more than happy to do that. And I hope everyone has a great weekend. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Megan.
Bye. This has been another episode of Mavens of Manufacturing. Subscribe for more and make sure to tune in next time.